and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks. On this week's video, I'm going to be taking a closer look at something which I've kind of been dying to show you for a little while now, and that is undoubtedly my favourite new amp, the V40 Deluxe by Victory. Now, caveat emptor, I am indeed endorsed by Victory, so if you're of a particularly cynical nature or distrusting disposition, disregard everything I have said or will say throughout the course of this video. However, the kicker in that deal is you also have to not watch the sound clip at the end and maybe retrospectively not watch the sound clip that you've just watched. Honestly, those clips say more about this amp than me waffling on ever could. It's ticking pretty much all the boxes for me at the moment, and any affiliation aside, any kind of, not that there's any requirement to say anything about this amp, in particular, I'm just head over heels in love with everything about it, the way it sounds, and more vainly, I guess, the way it looks. As much as that maybe shouldn't play a part in whether you like an amp or not, it kind of does, and it's just great to know that an amp is going to look good as well as sound good behind you on stage. Just to give you a little bit of background on how I ended up using Victory, would have been April, I guess, of last year. I did a thing called Guitar Breaks out in Tuscany. Guitar Breaks essentially being a guitar holiday. Fantastic people, gorgeous locations with amazing food and amazing drink. Check out the link in the description box if that sounds like it may be up your street. Ian, the guy who runs Guitar Breaks, owns a V40, which I guess is the kind of smaller brother of this amp. Not that I knew this at the time. So I used that through a little Zilla 1x12 cab, pretty much for the week that I was out there. Was incredibly impressed on two levels, I guess. A, how much kind of depth and clarity you can get from a 1x12 cab, particularly a well-made 1x12 cab, as the Zilla one was. And even more impressed, I guess, with the V40. Such kind of power and articulation and clarity coming from something which is essentially the size of a lunchbox just absolutely blew me away. And if there were two things that I would have ever dreamt about changing of that amp, it would have been the aesthetic. Metal looks cool, but I'm a kind of more traditional, I guess, guy in that I like wooden amps, and giving it a real spring reverb as opposed to the digital reverb that is in there. As I said, I wasn't particularly familiar with Victory's kind of catalogue at this moment in time, was unaware that they'd essentially taken my requests, albeit 12 months before I was aware of Victory, and made the V40 Deluxe, which is essentially everything that I kind of specified. It's spring reverb, it's a wooden enclosure that looks fantastic, with the addition of an output bias tremolo as well. Never been a big user of tremolo in amps, but as you will see or hear even in the outro section of this video, it's a very beautiful, very natural sounding tremolo. As I said, everything about this amp is just ticking a hell of a lot of boxes. In a live context at the moment, I'm running the volume or the gain pretty much as low as I can get it. That's also how you heard it in the introduction of this video, with the master volume then cranked as much as I can get away with, thus getting the kind of maximum amount of headroom out of this amp. Also in a live context, I'm using this, kind of pairing it at the moment with the Fuchs Clean Machine. Honestly, the more headroom I can get live, the happier I am. The bigger my cleans are, the happier I am. So the headroom in the Fuchs is just insane, being 75 watts. It's the loudest amp I've ever used. But very excited to hear the Victory are releasing the V140, which is essentially the 100 watt version of this amp. So I'd be incredibly kind of, keen to see where that fits in. And if I can get an all Victory backline behind me on stage, the happier I will be. Also worth noting, I'm using the 1x12 Fatboy cab with this, as opposed to the 2x12 cab that it was actually designed to go with. Two reasons for this. On an aesthetic level, I like 1x12 cabs. I'm using a 1x12 Zilla with the Fuchs, and I like the idea of having another 1x12 alongside that. On a more practical level, I guess, 28 sciatica already on and off from years of carrying 4x12s up and down kind of flights of staircases into various venues. The less I can get away with carrying and the lighter I can get away with carrying, the happier I am. So I'm a big fan of the 1x12, and although it's not the kind of aesthetic that people are maybe used to with this amp, seeing the 1x12 with it as opposed to the 2x12, it sounds great. You're getting a load of clarity and a load of low end as well. It's a very well designed 1x12 that just is, again, it's ticking a lot of boxes at the moment. I'm not going to waffle on any further. As I said, the sound clips will say more about this amp than I ever possibly could. I'm going to play you out now with my RevStar, with the volume on the amp set just over half and the master volume set at about halfway again, so I'm not killing the neighbours. So we're getting a little bit of kind of natural break about this amp. It's not a load of gain in this amp. To be honest, that wouldn't really kind of interest me anyway. But if you crank the volume, you're really going to get into kind of, I guess, classic rock territory is the best way of putting it. So with the volume at half here, we're getting a little bit of kind of hair on the notes here and there where you would really want it when you dig in. As I said, I'm not going to waffle on anymore. I've been Chris Buck. This is Friday Fretworks. By the way, hit 20,000 subscribers this week, which is just insane. So thank you very, very much. Said, this is Friday Fretworks, and I shall see you next week for another episode. Cheers, guys. Take care.